Hi, I'm Kelvin from London. I have this channel, Stereo Review X, where I compare, contrast, listen to all kinds of all kinds of vintage equipment, mostly and sometimes new. You know, doing that process of listening to different things all the time, I'm always swapping speakers and amps. You know, this brings me to this, what looks like an obvious question. Can I tell if it sounds better straight away? Well, if you'd have asked me this question 20 years ago, yeah, I'd have said, yes, thank you very much, goodbye, right? I would have completely thought it's that obvious, right? But having been done this for all this time, sometimes, quite a few times, you know, it's not as obvious and simple as that. And I'll tell you what I think goes on in the mind, really, you know. Basically, when you change something over, what happens is you notice what's new, yeah? So if you've got new speakers, new cables, new cartridge, whatever it is, if it's brighter, let's say, all you're gonna notice when you swap it over is what the brightness. You're not gonna pay any attention to all the bits that aren't sticking out at you in that immediate point in time, you know? So, you know, you can make mistakes. Now, I'll tell you a thing I used to do, because, you know, back in the 80s, I guess, late 80s, stuff like that, people was going about, oh, what's better, vinyl or CD? Yeah, this is an argument I had in pubs all the time, you know. Vinyl's the answer if you ask me, but it's got to be good. Anyway, I used to do this thing. I thought, oh God, you know, all right, I'll get a CD player, turntable, I put the same thing, same track on simultaneously. Then I can just switch from turntable to CD, you know, exactly the same point in the song. This is gonna really reveal it, you know what I mean? Well, it doesn't. It just doesn't. It's really annoying because I'm the big vinyl fan then, particularly, and it didn't sound like it. And it's because the CD player is a bigger and bolder thing. It's lacking in all the super fine detail, yeah? So say a snare drum on a CD, it's just kind of bigger. It's just like a bigger, louder thing, you know, just bigger really is probably the best thing to say. So when you go from turntable to CD, things, you know, that drum is bigger, that tambourine seems clearly over there and bigger, maybe too big. So you notice all the things that have got bigger, but in all the subtleties, you don't pay any attention to them, right? So if you do this, switch back and forth, the CD jumps out as like being a better sounding thing. You just go, oh, look at me, I'm bigger and clearer. All the subtleties, you've just forgotten about them. You're just not tuning into that because you're noticing these big, obvious sounds. And then you might, you know, and even I was going, oh God, this CD player does sound better. But it wasn't. The only way to do it is to like listen to a whole album and then listen to the whole album on CD. And then you go, oh, actually, I really enjoyed that on the vinyl. The drums were flicking around really quickly and lightly. You know, just there's a whole difference between vinyl and CD. But, you know, you notice the obvious, you know. So, and that goes for anything. Even if you just swapped cables over, you'll notice the immediate more bass, more treble, and you don't notice the rest. You're just not you're not aware of that at that point in time. So what do? I mean, it's quite easy. You just swap it over, whatever you're doing, you know, whatever component you're changing, and like have it on for a day. And then, or 2 days, 3 days is good. 3 days, definitely. And then swap it back. Just swap it back, you know. Maybe do that a few times, you know, it's no big deal. By the end of you swap those back a few times, you're gonna know. You'll know, oh, this is better. I prefer this. Not I had an idea that this was obviously more clear, but I prefer this one to this one. You know what I mean? The difference between your preferences long time over, you know, the whole dynamic of what am I talking about? Just the whole picture will be different when you absorb it over hours and then again over hours with the different one. So swap it over, swap it back, swap it over, swap it back. And that, it's quite a good way of like getting your ear good, you know? Because if you could, knowing what is really a good step, an incremental step upwards, better sound, you need to be able to do that, because that's the way you'll get a good sound in the end, you know? Not like get something new, put it on, that's better, I just chuck that old thing out the way, get rid of that, get rid of that, I got the new one here. It can be worse, you know, it can be worse. So, I mean, all it is, you know, is keep a cool head and just swap them back, swap them back. Do that a few times, then you'll know. But the immediate thing is misleading, 9 times out of 10, you know. Unless, you know, there are things where it's just totally obvious because it's better in so many different ways. I'm not saying you can't tell that, which, you know, you can. But, you know, these lesser things, less obvious things, they can really be misleading. And, you know, you don't want to throw things away or get rid of things that are good, you know. Okay, that's it. So on this, that's what I do on this channel, lots of compare and contrast of amps and speakers, and in detail about sounds and trying to get a better sound, you know, for not a lot of money. Okay, thanks, bye for now.